Good night, everyone. My name is Michael Knight. I'm the New York Cowboy. Hope you'll check out my new book, Street Stories, New York City, Volume 1. You can purchase it at barnesandnoble.com under Street Stories, New York City, Volume 1 by Michael Knight, the New York Cowboy. I'm going to read you a little story from the book. There are 15 short stories. Our story is about Rahiem, who spits out beats in Brooklyn. Rahiem took the microphone and went to work. He spit out the raunchiest rhymes that anyone had heard in a long time at one of these showdowns. Everyone was betting on the Tupac look-alike. His rivals were looking at him like they were either going to try to hook up with him to get some of his gravy, or they were just straight up hating. The way the women were lusting was off the chain. As everyone expected, Rahiem won the contest. On stage, as he received his props under the bright lights, he felt like his dream was on the verge of becoming a reality. He could already smell and taste the success that he craved. The crowd started to break up. Then a suited guy came up to him and handed him a card. He said, "You got skills, son. Call me and we'll sit down and discuss your future." Rahiem acknowledged him, but the crowd moved him in another direction and the guy disappeared from sight. Rahiem and about 30 other fans ended up at an after party in a brownstone in Brooklyn. The party was banging and the DJ had the place jumping. Rahiem imagined his music on the top of the charts and on all the radio stations. As he had done so many times before, he visualized himself showing off his mansion on reality TV or flying first class to St. Bart's with the most bootylicious video chicks in the industry at his beck and call. He imagined the life of the big-time rappers. Rahiem had been shot once, a through-and-through wound in his thigh, but enough for him to boast that he got shot and survived. He had even been to prison once for robbery. Only spent 6 months, but he added that to his credits as a thug. About 4 o'clock a.m., he quietly opened the door to his parents' house and headed for his room and his MIDI studio down in the basement. He lit a joint, threw his headphones on, and worked on a couple of beats. His adrenaline was still pumping, and he was at his creative peak. He got up about 1 in the afternoon the next day. He could hear his mother in the kitchen, but there was no way of avoiding her as he climbed the stairs up from the basement. His mother had that look on her face again, and she greeted him. "Did you look for a job today?" "Yeah, Mom, looking." He wanted to tell her about the competition that he won last night and that he felt like he would get that break soon and become the next big thing in the hip-hop world. But he knew she didn't want to hear that. He thought about the most famous rappers who had to listen to people telling them to get a regular job for peanuts instead of standing on the street corners rapping. He reached into his pockets hoping he had enough money for a MetroCard so he wouldn't have to ask his mother. He found $4 in the business card that he had got from the guy last night. Rotten Apple Hardcore Productions. It sounded official. President and owner Omar Rivers. What a cool card, he thought. So that was his name, huh? Omar. Maybe this will be my big break. Rahiem immediately dialed the number. The businessman on the other end sounded really happy to hear from him and anxious to meet him. Omar told him that he loved his style and his beats, and he wanted to discuss getting him signed right away. They made an appointment for 6 p.m. that evening. Rahiem was excited. This was it. Finally, someone recognized his talent for what it really was, and he could shut the mouths of all the haters and doubters. At exactly 6 p.m., Rahiem rang the bell of the address that Omar gave him. It was a private house and looked a lot shabbier than Rahiem was expecting. Omar opened the door and invited Rahiem in. Inside was surprisingly clean and nicely decorated. Omar took him to a large dining room and they sat at the oak-carved table with tons of papers. He gave him what looked like a contract to look over and said that if he needed a lawyer to review it, he could help him get one. He offered him a drink to celebrate his signing, and Rahiem accepted. Omar left the room while Rahiem looked over his new contract. A minute later, Omar returned with 2 glasses. "To success!" As they touched glasses, Rahiem beamed as he envisioned his dream finally coming true. "Let me show you my recording studio. I just put in a new keyboard station that's top of the line." "Hell yeah," said Rahiem, feeling like he had just earned $1 million. They headed towards the back of the house and headed down the basement. As they started down the stairs, Rahiem felt dizzy and frantically tried to grab the walls to steady himself. Rahiem slowly closed and opened his eyes. He felt lightheaded and his vision was blurry. Then everything went black. Got to read the rest of the book, guys, to catch the end of the story. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.